I think we'll get started. I've got about 120 slides, so I got to start on time. No, not really. Daryl, we're ready to go? The sound's okay? Can you hear me in the back? Dr. Rhoda, can you hear me? I think Dr. Roy normally introduces me, but he's tied up. He's an active cardiologist. And you know what the Romans used to say, the Senate said, you have bread and circuses. That's how you attract the people. So you have your bread. Now comes the circus, you know, the entertainment. So we'll get started here. And thank you all for coming, ladies and gentlemen, and faculty and students. We've got great faculty and great students. And it's an honor to serve you all and to present your accomplishments. I can't get all your accomplishments, so we'd be here all afternoon. So I have to do it within a certain period of time. So let's get started. We have a great history. Bob Nesbitt, raise your hand, Bob, is our highly paid MCG historian. No, he works for free. And he probably knows everybody on this slide. But, yep. 1876 this goes back, and there were two deans then. One was Dr. Dugas, who's the Dugas building in pathology. The other was the son of the founding dean, Dr. Ford, and he was dean 3 times. Can you imagine being dean 3 separate times? But this was our class. We have a great history. Go back to 1828, 13th oldest medical school. But now we're very different. So every organization, according to Jim Collins, my favorite leadership book is Good to Great. I give it to all the incoming chairs. But he talks about a BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. Everybody has to have a goal of something you can do better than anybody in the world, and that it's needed to be done. So I'm going to go through why. So we have, we're fortunate to serve an academic medical center. We have a tripartite mission. That's why you're all here. That's why you're not working in another setting. And we have a great campus throughout the state, and we have a lot of interesting things going on. We got an MCG regional campus system. I'm going to go through this. It's really the backbone of our campus and one of the best developed in the country. We've got a new 4-year campus in Savannah. We've got a new Atlanta campus. How many medical schools can have 2 new campuses in 1 year? We've got a new Department of AI and Health, which we're recruiting a chair. We've got a growth in NIH funding I'll show you. We've got community engagement in rural Georgia. And we got an MCG Center for Digital Health. It was called Telehealth as of a month ago, but we changed the name for Matt Lyons here to Digital Health to align with the WellStar digital operating model. And now we're part of a $7.5 billion health system that is throughout Georgia. All right, so we don't have this constant worry about our finances. Now we have constant other worries like learning how to use Epic, but we don't have to worry every day. I don't wake up at 3 in the morning worrying if we're going to have, we can pay the bills. That's the best part of this. So Georgia needs more doctors. That's why our goal is appropriate with the needs of the state. And all those counties are short of doctors except the counties in gray. And there are a few counties in Atlanta. But everything blue and yellow is short. So, everything in Georgia is 40 and below when it comes to health. So we're 42 in the number of physicians per capita, 40 in primary care physicians, 40 in the number of residents per capita, all right? And you can see they're closely linked. How many residents you have is how many doctors you have. 149 of our counties are underserved. We have the second most counties in the United States after Texas. And we rank 41 in public MD-DO students. Now, it's actually worse than that because 4 states don't even have medical schools. So we're really 41 out of 46 in the country. So we're low. We're low in everything. We need more doctors. So Georgia's our campus. I don't think any medical school has more penetration throughout their state than MCG does. This year was our largest entering class with 304 students. That's the, according to Nikki Erickson, is 4th or 5th largest medical school by entering class in the country. I'm not going to, some Texas school could have put in a few more students at the end, so we don't really know. Our MCG Savannah campus did its inaugural class just in July. And then this is our bicentennial class that got admitted now, 200-year class. So a lot of great stuff going on. And we're growing our statewide educational network. Half of our students in the class of 2027 train outside of Augusta. So, you know, you only see what happens in Augusta, but half of the activity is happening outside of Augusta. And Dr. Hobbs and Ashley Saucier are working to expand FQHCs. How many of you have been in an FQHC, have actually physically been in one? That's remarkable. You know, a lot of people, they're the safety net outpatient really clinics in the United States. They have bipartisan support, which is wonderful. And we're in half of them in the state. So that's wonderful. And then we're going to expand. We're always expanding our campus. We're going to go to Thomasville, right down at the Georgia-Florida border. And that's about the nicest rural hospital you'll ever see, Archibald Hospital, developed by New Yorkers. And they have a 4-hospital system. We're going to start putting our students in, thanks to Kush Desai. There's taking a picture. Kush, raise your hand. You were instrumental in getting this relationship established. So now we're going to make our virtual visits to our campuses. And we rehearsed this yesterday, and it went flawless. So I hope it goes well today. So we're going to start, Gordon, go to Wellstar, Kettystone, and Atlanta. And we should see Lewis Lovett if this all works out. This is our newest campus, started in January, but it's been under development for a while. So we're going to get to Wellstar, Kettystone. There we are, the Lewis Lovett. Lewis, say hello to all the people in the room here. Tell them just a little bit about yourself. You got 30 seconds.
Sure. I'm Lewis Lovett. I'm currently the program director of internal medicine at Cobb Hospital, but I'm also the associate DIO for the system. I was recruited to Wellstar in 2012 to actually start graduate medical education. So I started at Kettystone Hospital, where I built 6 programs, 5 residencies, and a fellowship. And now they have 8 programs, since 2 of the surgical programs moved from Atlanta Medical Center to Kettystone. Very happy to be here, and I appreciate Dr. Hess and everyone inviting me. And we're very, very excited here at Wellstar to be one of the campuses.
Yeah, we're planning a ribbon cutting soon, a date to be determined. But Lewis has been with us from the very beginning. We've had students there since going back to 2015 to 16. But now we're formalizing the regional campus. So this is MCG and AU's, to my knowledge, first campus in Atlanta. So that's a big step. We've always been outside of Atlanta. Now we're in Atlanta. So thanks, Lou. We got to move on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So let's go to Savannah. And Savannah and Brunswick together. There they are. All right. Good. So they're in their auditoria there. Does anybody want to say anything to the audience here? We've got a lot of people here. How do you like the campus, and how do you like Dean Elizabeth Gray?
I shouldn't answer that question.
Yeah, great. Well, wonderful. As this campus was just launched, I think since launching, they've been closed 4 times, 3 hurricanes and a snowfall, or 2 hurricanes and a snowfall, right? So you guys have been through everything, snow, hurricanes, and you've made it. So thank you very much. We got to move on, but great to see y'all. All right. Now we're going to Augusta. We're going to the Harrison Commons. All right. Here's our own students. Here's our own local campus. What do you guys have to say?
Darius.
All right. So you can shout the loudest.
MCG, 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 MCG.
All right, great. Okay, we got to move on to Athens. All right, Shelley, yeah, everybody. And we'll mention this later, but they just received their candidate status for their independent medical school. So that's really exciting. So go Dogs. Anything you want to add, Shelley?
No, we're just got some amazing students and faculty and staff, and just enjoying what we do here, which is, educate outstanding physicians that really want to put them back here in Georgia. So anyway, but thank you so much, and have a good day.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, let's go to Rome. Rome. All right. There's Paul Brock, our campus dean. Say hi, Paul. What they have are these, they take pictures of all the students over many years, and they always have them on the wall. It's really great to see. So those are their graduates. They get these beautiful pictures taken. I don't know who does that. But what do you guys want to say to us?
These are actually students who not only graduate from our campus, have now come back to Rome or to the state of Georgia to practice. So this is
That's great.
non-shame. These are great kids that are back with us.
Yeah, and studies show, we have a lot of anecdotes that people that trade in regional campuses tend to come back to the area. That's why we do this, because the biggest shortage is in rural Georgia. So thank you very much. We got to move up to Dalton. Dalton is known for our Dalton campus, and also it's the flooring capital of the world. Did you know that? Somebody said 95% of flooring is from Dalton. There they are. Dixon, how you doing?
Yes, we're having a lovely day here. Now, we had 2 snow showers this week, and we didn't close our campus. I'm not sure what happens.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Well, you're up in the Appalachians.
we are. We're right at the foothills of the mountains right here, and it's beautiful. We have a beautiful day today.
Well, we got to move on, but thank you very much. Great to see you. And then we're going to go down to the Southwest campus. And here's our Southwest campus. Great. And that's our campus dean, Doug Patton, and Kush Desai is here. What do you have to say from Albany?
Well, we've got representation from 3 classes. We have someone who's going to graduate this year. We have someone who'll graduate in 26. And we got a whole bunch of 2027s, not only Southwest campus students, but Augusta students who are here having the best time ever on their clerkships. We've got great staff, and we're going to have some great food in a few minutes too. So, I don't know what the rest of y'all are doing. It's not Chick-fil-A. This was cooked at home. So,
All right. Is it Cajun food? Because, you know, Doug's originally from Bogalusa, Louisiana.
not this time. I had some muffulettas, but when I dated them, they had been in the freezer for 6 months. I thought, I'll eat those, but I'm not going to serve them.
All right. Well, don't go far. You guys, I want you to clap in a minute when I announce the next award winner. So we can move on. I think we've gone to all of our campuses. So now we have a Community Advocate Award every year. We give an award out. And this year we gave it to Sancho Patton, who's actually the donkey. You know, every good man has a donkey. It's the donkey of Doug Patton. And this was actually taken in the snowfall we had. You know, Albany was closed down. We were supposed to do a course down there on maternal mortality, and we had to cancel it. But this is Sancho Patton. So, you know, Doug is a former dean, and he's really wins our Community Advocate Award. And he's really an amazing thing. This is his horse, Lily, his better half, Joni, and that's Doug. And that's how Doug is usually dressed, in boots, jeans, and but he's done wonderful things. So he was a surgeon in Cordele, Georgia. When I first met him, Jeff Switzer and I went down and met him a while back, where he was CMO of Phoebe Putney. Then he worked for the Georgia Hospital Association. And Catherine Martin somehow lured him over to be our campus dean. But we'd love to give you this award. Doug, we wish you could be here, but your junior partner, Kush Desai, is going to accept the award on your behalf. So I hope you're clapping down in Albany. Yeah. So we're going to have to keep moving on. Here is our MCG Savannah, Georgia Southern opening. This happened in July. And here you can see President Keene, Chancellor Sonny Perdue, the Speaker of the House, John Burns, Kyle Marrero, the President of Georgia Southern, because we've leased out Georgia Southern. And here's Paul Hinchy, who is the CEO of St. Joe's Candler. Here's our class. You just saw some of them dressed up. And then here's some of our, remember Jennifer Tucker here is looking off into the, I don't know what she's thinking of, but she's thinking of something. Here's Price Core, our president of our alumni association. So we had people from all over. We also had the best crab cakes I've ever eaten. And this is heresy for somebody that's spent 8 years in Baltimore, Maryland. But weren't they? Tim Johnson's a connoisseur. Wasn't it Castaways slam dunk, the best crab cakes? Remember that, Zach, when you go to Savannah. Because you like to eat, I know too. It's just like we all do. This partnership campus was record. It was put up. Here's Elizabeth Gray. Let's go through some of these people. Philomi Powell, who was here. John Rowlett, who's our clinical dean. Nina Paletter, who's a graduate of MCG. Our student affairs dean. Hunter Faircloth, who's over simulation. And then Steve Chitty is down in Brunswick, because this Southwest campus also covers Brunswick, Georgia. And Steve is a graduate of MCG and a critical care doctor. But this was for $1.7 million. We did some renovations and started this campus up. And this was launched in 15 months. This is a world record. I'm not sure Elizabeth Gray would ever do this again, because you can never do this. But they hired, I don't know how many faculty, 35, 40 faculty, I've lost count, in that amount of time and got this campus up and running. And I said they've had 3 hurricane stops and a snowstorm, and they're still going strong. We couldn't have done this without our health system partner. Paul Hinchy is the longest continuous CEO in Georgia. That's quite an achievement because, you know, Ralph Turner does it. Can you imagine doing this, Ralph, for 20 more years? You can do it. You know, Savannah is growing, it's booming. The port, Hyundai, we really want to bring medical education and medical research there. So this is exciting. If you ever want to go visit the campus, I'm sure Elizabeth Gray will host you. It's really an exciting place to be. Our new regional campus in Atlanta with Wellstar, you met Lewis Lovett. This is launched just in January. We're going to have a ribbon cutting soon. While it's at Kennestone Hospital, where it's going to be based, there's other hospitals we can be in. All these Purple Stars or Wellstar hospitals. So again, our first campus in Atlanta, very, very exciting. Here's our MCG class of 2028. Well, it really helps us as we get great ingredients, right? We have outstanding medical students. Many people say, in fact, some of the room in the room, Brian Annex always told me these are the best medical students you've ever worked with, and you've been at Duke and UVA. So they're really great students, and they're spread. You know, there's a little more women and men. That's a national trend. They have high MCAT scores. They got high GPAs. What's important, they've got a lot of emotional intelligence, and we screen them for that. Also, and this is very important, while 98% of them are Georgia residents, a third of them come from underserved counties. So nationally, about 5% of medical students come from rural counties. Now, these may not all qualify as rural counties by different rurality indices, but a lot of these counties are rural, so we do much better than the national average. We have a very innovative curriculum, as you know. We launched this in 2020 during the pandemic. I won't go through all these, time doesn't permit, but I will go through the Peach State Scholar. You can graduate from medical school in 3 years, and a number of our students do that. These are our Peach State Scholars. The last class, there's 12 of them. Yeah, they have to choose a primary care specialty. They have to do their residency in Georgia, and then we pay their tuition for every year that they're going to practice in underserved Georgia. But they can practice in all those counties you saw before that are underserved, which are most of Georgia. So really an exciting program. And last year, these are our graduates of it, almost all of them in residency in Georgia. Now we're starting getting graduates from this program. Now, if you have nothing to do, and you should do this, and I'm sure you have a lot to do, but in a month from now, on the 21st of March, we're going to have our match day. Now, MCG Match Day is like no other medical school in the country. A lot of match days, they just go up, they get an envelope in suits like me, and they sit down. 3 people applaud, which is their family, and they just move on. Not here. Not here. We get dressed up. Heroes and villains is the theme this year. You're welcome to dress up and come. This is what the students do. This is at the ballpark, SRP ballpark. And, you know, we always have a great match rate. Almost everybody matches here above the national average. We'd like to keep more students in Georgia, but frankly, we don't have enough quality residency positions in Georgia. We got to build on that. So they go, some of them go out of state, but we got to bring them back by keeping in touch with them. I know a lot of the program directors and a lot of you chairs keep track of these students and bring them back. We'd like to keep them here for residency, but if we lose them, we'd love to bring them back. Now, here's our assurance in medicine program, and thank you to Dr. Keene who funded this. This is Kelly Braun, our admissions director, I think one of the best admission directors in the country. Kirby Smart can recruit, but no one recruits like Kelly Braun, and she does a fantastic job. So in this program, it's a way to mentor students in undergraduate schools throughout the state of Georgia, particularly from underserved backgrounds, rural backgrounds. We provide longitudinal support through college, MCAT preparation, mentoring. This is going to begin at 7 regionally located universities. We're still working with which universities we're going to work with, but we know it'll definitely include Georgia Southern and Augusta University. So this is a program to encourage more people from underserved areas, particularly rural areas, to enter MCG, because if you come from a rural area, you're more likely to go back and practice there. So that's the Assurance in Medicine program, and the architect is standing right there. So really exciting. While we're talking about Kirby Smart, you heard the news about the UGA School of Medicine. Here's their groundbreaking. You heard Shelley Nuss talk about it. There's Shelley, there's Jerry Moorhead, there's the governor. This was a groundbreaking, and now have candidate status. So there'll be another medical school developing in Athens out of the partnership campus. Now, how we will handle that? Now, if we just take, and this will probably happen in fiscal year 27, which is July 26. Now, if we just take 60 students out of our medical school and leave it at that, the state gets no more net graduates. And we need more graduates. So we can get more graduates and actually have a net increase of the Georgia UGA Medical School. We are going to add those 60 students here. And our great curriculum team up here is nodding their heads saying they can do it. Can you do it? They told me they could. Yes, they can do it. So how are we going to do it? You know, we're going to be losing 60 students from Athens. We're going to make up for it. Here's how we're going to do it. This is where we are now. We have these are by first-year students, 60 in Athens, 204 in Augusta, 40 in Savannah. So how are we going to do it? We're going to put the extra students. Are we going to build another 4-year campus? No, we can't do that in a short period of time. We've already done that in Savannah. I can't drive people loco. So what we're going to do is we're going to distribute them here. We're going to take these 60 that we're going to lose from Athens. They're going to get these 60. This is from an MCG perspective. And we're going to add 50 here in Augusta, and we're going to add 10 in Savannah. Because Elizabeth Gray says, give me more, I'm ready. I can take 50, I can take 60, but we're going to go up to 50. So we got to get this approved by the LCME. We're preparing that paperwork now. But this is how we get a net increase of 60 graduating doctors in Georgia. And, you know, we put out really good doctors, so we want them to come from MCG, but they want them to come from UGA. Now, the key, as everybody knows, is your clinical clerkships. The key is your clinical clerkships. And so here's how we're going to distribute them. Because of the opening of the Columbia County Hospital, the Columbia County Hospital has been delayed forever because of lawsuits from friends across town. Now it's open, and we got it because we educate students and residents there. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to put medical students, we're going to have some residents there. So we're going to have more in Augusta, we're going to have more in Savannah. And Brunswick, Elizabeth Gray thinks we're going to have 20. Conservatively, we're going to say 10. And then we're going to have 20 in Albany. And then we're going to put 6 of these down in Thomasville, right, Cush? And then we have 24 at Wellstar and then 20 in Rome and Dalton. So this is how we distribute it. We can only do this because we have this great regional campus system developed. And you heard from Paul Brock that when they train at these regional campuses, they come back and work in the community. And that's the model we use. This is how we get students out into rural Georgia. Now, let's just change gears and talk about new leadership, because we have great faculty, and for great faculty, we need great chairs. So Robbie Coley is the new chair of pathology. Robbie, did great work during the pandemic, developed the SARS-CoV test that was used throughout the state. He runs the GEM lab. He's an internationally known molecular pathologist. He's our new chair of pathology. Megan, I hope you're still talking to me after this talk. Megan McGee, raise your hand. I know she always comes. Megan is there. So what better training is there to be a chair than to work with black bears in a cave? And that's what she did. She studied hibernating bears up in Michigan. So if you have any questions about black bears when they hibernate, ask Megan. I asked her the questions, how long do they hibernate? It depends. It always depends. What part are they from? In Georgia, it's just like December and January. So you shouldn't see these in your garbage cans in your mountain cabin. At least that's what Megan says. But now Megan is here, and Megan is great, a well-recognized researcher. She's done a great job hiring anatomists. The anatomists here, anatomists are hard to find. Thank you. And you're all happy. You're still smiling. Good. So it's really hard to hire anatomists, and we've been able to hire them in Savannah and here. Now, what's really exciting is our growth of NIH funding. And we were stuck at about 40 to 50 million for many, many years. But look what's happened now. This last year, we hit 72 million. This is just MCG funding. Last year was 60. So actually, I think you start seeing a curve that's really going up. What's this other number? This is something called the Blue Ridge rankings, because the people that run this live in the Blue Ridge. They're retired. They're retired scientists, and they rank. So we don't have it out yet. It's supposed to come out any day. I just checked this morning. In fact, I'm so compulsive, I checked at 10 and 10:30, and it's not out. But we should land about 63, according to Dr. Stepp's calculations. And that'll be the highest we've ever been. But it's not just your ranking. We aspire to be top 60. We're on our way there. The highest we ever got was 66, but we quickly fell. That wasn't really a real change in growth. That was probably other people around us dropping. But this is a real change. This is almost a 40% change over the last 2 years. And that's thanks to you, our faculty, being amazingly productive. We punch way above our weight. Our faculty funding per grant is much higher than many other places. And we've also hired more faculty. We've hired more researchers, thanks to Dr. Keel and now Dr. Keen, who have enabled us to do that. So growth in research, Dr. Keen has provided funding for 30 new research faculty over the next 3 years. We have a new Department of AI and Health. Dr. Coley is leading that search. Some of you are on that search committee. We're actually looking at the candidates. I think we've chosen some for on-site interviews. And we have an EVP for research and innovation. I'm leading that. And boy, do I want to get that filled, because I'm the interim and I want to get rid of that job. So I want the best person we can possibly get. And then thanks to Dr. Keen and many people here who entertained legislators when they came and we showed them the CB building. And they said, oh my God, after going through the CB building, you need a new research building. Particularly when we took them to the basement. That was it. Right? They wanted to, how do we get out of here? And there's standing order down there. So the good news is it hasn't been signed yet. It should be signed soon. And I think it's going through the Senate. Is that right? It's been through the Senate? Well, it's close. Presidents get Sunday. Okay. But anyhow, it should happen. This is what we think it's going to look like. It's going to be, I know you're going to be sad when Pavilion 1 is torn down. It was only built in the 50s, right? But it's going to go right back. So actually, it's going to go right over there. If I can use my finger to point. You're right. No, it's over there. There. Okay. All right. You're right. Over there. I'm sorry. I'm all screwed up. You're right, Daryl. But it's going to be 5 stories of labs, a vivarium that connects with the crosswalk. It'll be right next to the Kelly building. And this is what it looks like. And it'll probably be on this site. And whether it'll exactly look like this or not, I don't know. We're meeting with the architects and we're starting to design who's going to go in there. But we got to get the governor to sign it first. And we think that's imminent. Just to go through some highlights of the Fukais. I don't know if they're here. The Fukais got a program project. Here's some of the people that are on the program project. This is big. This is $11.3 million over 5 years, looking at vascular disease. And Danielle Moore, I don't know if Danielle is here. Danielle won a very prestigious award. So Danielle grew up in New York City, trained in Princeton, and then University of Pennsylvania. And when you grow up in New York, you don't have a car, because to park your car costs more than your mortgage does in Augusta. So she never learned to drive. So she got a high risk, high reward driving, but she also became one of the only 40 scientists across the country to receive an NIH Director's New Innovator Award. So this is really prestigious. And Dr. Liu helped mentor her. She's in the Department of Neuroscience and Regenerative Medicine. So give Danielle, and she works in a worm model, in a nematode model, and studies Parkinson's disease. It's really, really fascinating. This is Dr. Eric Boline and Laszlo Kovacs. They study HIV, and they've grants in, why is there hypertension in HIV, and then why is there such severe pulmonary vascular disease? So a lot of great research going on, but this is the one I really want to say, because there's a lot of interest, as I'll come to, in how important is NIH funding. And if you look at most of the drugs that have been approved by the FDA in the last 20 years, the vast majority have received NIH funding to develop the drugs. So we've got to have NIH funding. And Dr. Munn, shown here, trained at MCG, grew up in Augusta. Ted Johnson, MD, PhD student here. These are great examples of physician scientists. So way back in 1998, they had a seminal paper in Science, so over 20 years ago, where they showed that this enzyme IDO, which is deals with tryptophan, is important, the tolerance of pregnancy. Why doesn't a mother reject the baby? Because the baby is foreign. They don't, because of this IDO. Well, if you flip it around and you inhibit IDO, you actually lose the pregnancy. But if you knock out IDO, inhibit it, it's a cancer immunotherapy because you basically take the brake off the immune system, and the immune system goes after the cancer and kills it. So this is really super exciting. They've done phase 1 and 2 trials. They're about to do phase 3. This will probably be approved by the FDA at some point, and it's well tolerated. That's a beautiful thing about it. It's not a terrible chemotherapy. It's well tolerated, and it really seems to be working in these pediatric brain tumor patients. And if you ever see one of these pediatric brain tumor patients, it's heart-wrenching. You know, I went to the funeral of one whose life was prolonged probably 4 or 5 years, and I've never seen more grateful patients than they were. I mean, Ted Johnson is just the rock star, and David Munn, the rock stars of pediatric brain tumors. I mean, it's amazing the impact they've made. So this is what NIH funding does. And you got to give them credit. They stayed with this. Look how many years this took to develop. And now they've got a great treatment, not only for this, but other cancers. This is just the beginning. So this is a great example of groundbreaking research. It's not exaggerated to say world-class research. And getting into the immunotherapy, and because of this, we got so interested in immunotherapy. Immunology is foundational to the treatment of so many diseases. You know, how you fight infections, autoimmune disease, cancers, cardiovascular disease, we know that. And Klaus Lin and Lynn Hedrick are the only husband-wife GRA eminent scholars. They came here, they've recruited all these people. Now, Redouan is not here yet, he's coming in April. But they recruited them from all over the country, all over the world. Nicholas Gascoigne, I see him, he came from Singapore, right? And so these are all rising stars, or in Nicholas's case, a risen star that they've recruited, right? So great. I see Martina Sadeko, she's one of my favorite people. Martina, raise your hand, from Sardinia. She came, and her husband, Marcio, is right here. Marco is right here. They're from Sardinia, does great work, runs a great core. I'm sorry to embarrass you. I know you're turning red as your shirt, but she does this spatial transcriptomics, and she provides outstanding service. She can even teach someone as stupid as me what it all means. So this is wonderful, great work, great recruitment. This is unbelievable recruitment. And we got to keep up the momentum. So with all this good news happening, I just got to pause and say, some of the threatening clouds that are ahead. So I was actually out in LA, of all things, at an NIH meeting about a grant when this broke, and it broke at about 6:30 p.m. on February 7th. And that's when the NIH sent out a notice that they're going to cap the indirects. Now, what does that mean? Well, our indirect rate is 54%, but that's pretty standard of other public universities, particularly in the Southeast. We're all in the 50s. Well, if you drop your rate 54, from 54 to 15%, that's about a 73% drop. And all you got to do, you don't have to go to Georgia Tech to multiply that by how much indirect money you're getting in to see the loss. And we can lose potentially $15 million. But don't panic, because Russell Keene's in charge. And we're going to get through this. And we've talked about it, and we've already thought about things we can do to mitigate this. And right now, there's a temporary restraining order, okay? And this temporary restraining order was issued the 10th of February. And the AAMC sued, 22 attorney generals sued from different states. And then there was another, the AAU, I think, joined the lawsuit. So there's 3 lawsuits. And that was temporary restraint. And the hearing before the district judge, and somebody can look on the internet and see what's happened at 10 a.m. today. Now, I don't think she's going to rule, the judge is going to rule in the next couple hours, but you don't know. We'll probably have a ruling in a few days to see if there's a injunction against this, which would last longer. Now, this could be appealed to the courts. This is in the District Court of Massachusetts. It could go to the Circuit Court in Massachusetts and eventually the Supreme Court. We don't know how it's going to be held. Now, the NIH did this. This is not new. Congress has been worried about the high indirect rates that are paid to universities for a long time. Because in most industries, if you have an IT industry, the indirect rate, the overhead is probably 10 to 15%. If you're building cars, and manufacturing, it may be 20%. But they don't understand, as a human-facing industry that's heavily regulated, does anybody think we're not heavily regulated? We are, right? Because we take care of animals, we take care of patients, we have chemicals, we have, we do all sorts of research, we do clinical trials. They're very expensive to do, and they require a lot of overhead. And so this is concerning not just us. I was on a call at the AAMC last night. There were about 130 people on the call, medical school deans and leaders of different health systems, and everybody's concerned about how to make this up. So we'll get through this, and we will get through it. We have to be careful. So we put a pause in some things. We're not pausing everything. There's no salary cuts. Don't work. That's not in the cards right now. And we think that this will eventually be negotiated, through Congress. It's complicated because we don't have a budget. We're under continuing resolution. And, some people in Congress really want to cut the budget and cut waste. I'm sure there's waste. But nobody thinks that the NIH is wasteful. The NIH is really what differentiates medical research in this country from the rest of the world. So there's two things you have to remember. Academic medical centers like we are a national treasure, and the NIH is a treasure admired by the rest of the world. So, we don't want to lose the NIH. We don't want to lose funding from the NIH. So a different type of research, not developing IDO and necessarily clinical trials, but what happens in research is we discover a lot of things and we can't get them out into the real world. So they're just used at academic medical centers. So it's very hard to disseminate information and implement new studies and new information and new drugs. And so Christy Ledford here, shown right here, and Samantha Jones, and Brittany here from the hub, because of the work they're doing in the community, won an NIH Build Up Trust Challenge Award. Congratulations. And then Samantha and Christy have gotten some PCORI grants. So PCORI is a type of funding that does comparative effectiveness research and builds up ties with the community. So I don't think anybody works with communities better. So there's something called HamesNet, which is a practice network named after Curtis Hames, an MCG graduate who did a lot of groundbreaking research in heart and stroke prevention, 50 years ago, 60 years ago even. So in recognition of these awards and everything being done in community engaged research, we are going to give a professionalism award to Christy Ledford. I hope she's here and not riding her bike around somewhere outside and hopefully wearing her helmet. But is Christy here? Christy's probably out in the community doing research, I'm sure. But Christy is the winner of our award. Is Dean here? Anybody can accept it? If not, we'll get it to her. Let's clap for her. Now, moving on, it's only 12:45. We have a great dean of admissions. We got a great, we call it DIO, designated institutional official. It's a crazy name. It's like the director of GME. And Natasha Savage is really, top of the art. I mean, there's no one that can run a better GME program than her. And she's helped immensely by Michael Groves, who's her assistant. So MCG is the second largest provider of GME in Georgia. And we have close to 600 residents and fellows in 50 programs. So it's a lot of programs to keep track of. But like I said before, Georgia ranks 40th in residents per capita, which is a big problem. It contributes to our physician shortage. Now, one of the problems with GME is how it's funded. It's completely Byzantine, and it's completely a byproduct of deals made in Congress. And the Balanced Budget Act, way back in the 90s, capped the number of positions we have. So if you were a program that's been in existence a long time, your costs were capped back at like 1995 levels. And the costs were really low in Georgia. And we didn't have a lot of cost. And so we were capped at a low rate per resident and a relatively low number. Our cap is about 300, a little bit over 300. Now, if you're a new program, you can get your cap up in 5 years. And back when this was capped, more of the population lived in the Northeast. So they have higher caps than the Southeast does. And the population moved, but the money didn't move with it. So we're kind of stuck. So what Congress tried to do through the Consolidated Appropriations Act is address this problem and allow institutions to apply for positions above the cap. Now, the only problem with this, they only allowed 1,000 positions for the whole country over 5 years. So that's 200 positions a year that 50 states are fighting over. So the chance of getting a position is really low. But we have Superwoman, Natasha Savage. And what Natasha did is she got 5 for surgery. She tried for surgery, got 5. OBGYN tried for 4, got 4, and just got 4 in psychiatry. So that's batting 1,000, right, Ralph? Pretty good. So we gotten 3 out of 3, and we're going to try neurology this year. So hopefully, Jeff, we won't, we'll continue the 4 for 4. So this is not a lot of positions, but it helps. And if you think there's only, 200 in the country, to get 5 or 4, 3 every year is quite dramatic. And we got that because we filled out the forms right, good, strong leadership, but also because we're an indigent hospital and we're over the cap. And we deal with a very indigent population. Now, WellStar MCG Health. This was a great deal. We talked about it last year a little bit. It happened in August of 23. What's unique about this is there's not many examples of a public medical school aligning with a statewide health system that's not in their area, that's actually in the big city in Atlanta, and we're in the rest of the area. So it really brought together a regional campus system that was outside of Atlanta, everywhere in Georgia but Atlanta, with a health system in Atlanta. They focus on digital health, which is very important. Digital health is telemedicine, of course, and beyond, wearable devices, et cetera. So it really merged in nicely with our digital health, our MCG Center for Digital Health. They've had ACOs for a long time, very successful ACOs, an accountable care organization. We've never had that at MCG. We weren't able to do that. So we're able to do a lot of things. They have a very well-developed clinically integrated network where you work with physicians outside of your health system, either other health systems. So really a lot of exciting things, and they've started a health plan. So they're very, very innovative in the kind of things that we were struggling to do. So it was a match made in heaven. And then here's Matt Lyon, Harrison Endowed Chair. Many of you know Matt. Matt is tireless. He never sleeps. But Matt has developed this digital care network around the state in rural hospitals to provide tele-ED, tele-ICU, and now tele-OB in all these hospitals. And why this is so important is made a huge difference in some of these hospitals down here. So Candler County, Matt has a good review of this where they were losing money because they couldn't keep people in the hospital. But with Matt's program, he doesn't transfer everybody up here. It only transfers up to people that really need to come, and the people that can stay in the rural hospital or stay there with teleconsultations from Matt's group. So this is really where care really needs to go. And this is the only way you can really do care in a state with so many rural hospitals. So it saves rural hospitals, it's good for patients, and it prevents us from overloading our own ED with people that can be cared for in small rural hospitals. So it's really a wonderful program. And the other thing we did, we're the first hospital in the home program. So I've been hearing for years that we can close hospital beds because we're not going to be admitting people to the hospital. Well, were they wrong about that prediction, right? That was totally wrong. Our EDs are packed everywhere you look at. They're overflowing. But so what can you do? So some of these people can be managed at home. So Matt and Laura Hopkins and Ralph was very supportive of this. Jennifer Miller, went to the state and got we were the first hospital from DCH and CMS to do this in Georgia. And here's one of our first patients who was a retired dental faculty member who was able to be cared for at home instead of coming to the hospital. And you know that elderly people hate to be in the hospital. So if you can keep them at home, this is a win, 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 win. So really congratulations to WellStar, Matt Lyon, and all the people involved with this. Wonderful news. The other thing about WellStar, MCG Health, we're implementing Epic. Everyone that does it says it's hard. Just talk to people at Emory. Say they were about to quit, but a year or two later, They were so happy they did it. So just remember that when you're in clinic, Jeff and everyone else out there and struggling with this, it's going to get better, and it's overall, it's a good thing, but it's a painful thing to go through. Any EMR is a painful thing to go through. But, you know, if you've talked to Monty Hunter, who's using keyboard liberation right now and using what's called DAX Copilot, they're getting licenses to this. This will eventually make your experience in clinic pleasant. So you can focus on a patient encounter and not be typing. Now, it's not here yet, but that's what's coming. So just realize when you're struggling in clinic that this is coming. It's going to get better. So the suffering is temporary. It may not go away in a day, a week, or a month, but it's temporary. Wellstar is investing $1.1 billion, and they've actually even invested probably more than that when they bought our urgent care centers on top of it. And we have a positive operating margin, which is why when I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm not thinking about the finance, I'm thinking about other things. And then Columbia County Hospital opening, this is really wonderful. If you go down to exit 190 and you're going east, look to the right. It's actually advanced beyond this. This is an old picture. This is the hospital and the MOB. We'll have medical students, residents there. This will be a great place to get care. Columbia County is the largest hospital in Georgia without its own hospital. So really exciting we have this. Thank you, Ralph, and thank you, Wellstar, for funding this, because this is where some of the funding is going to. Now, we give an MCG Advocate Award every year, and watch this carefully. Look how close he is. Now, I will say that as soon as we turn off the video, he made the next shot, and he put it right in the bullseye. But I don't know anybody that's come in and 3 times got so close as he did. Did you see the form he had? It was a tight spiral. He looked like a real quarterback. Don't you agree? He looked like the real deal. He is. And he's a Georgia fan, and he rooted for the Eagles in the Super Bowl. That had nothing to do why I'm giving this award. It had nothing to do with the fact that he rooted for the Eagles. But Ralph, we want you to stand up. We want to give you an award. You've been a great advocate. You know, Ralph comes to Hoodie, he comes to graduation, he always asks in a meeting, we're in the joint operating committee every week, is how is this going to affect students and residents? How is it going to affect MCG? So he really cares. And he's got to balance that with, you know, making the health system work financially. It can be very, very tough, but you're always a great advocate. I couldn't have a better partner. So thank you very, very much. So to summarize, you know, this is really our BHAG, right? This is really what's unique about MCG. Our secret sauce is our regional campus system and its backbone and being all over the state. So if you look at it, we've got the Wellstar hospitals, these white dots are where students are training everywhere. Even go back, look, we're back in the lower corner of the state, Southwest. Who's out there? Who is in all these places in any state in the country? No one is, right? And you get to go to all these wonderful places. And then we've got, you know, Wellstar, we got all these telestroke hospitals. We got tele-ED, telecritical care hospitals, tele-OB coming.